The door that wasn't locked.
The door wasn't forced open. There were no pry marks, no shattered lock. And that's when I realized we'd been hunting the wrong person all along. This is the story of how a crime scene became a confession, and how the deadliest threats are the ones we invite into our lives. The room reeked of copper and citrus cleaner, the desperate scent of a secret trying to erase itself from existence. 3 nights. That's how long the crime scene had been sitting there, untouched, waiting. Like it knew someone would come back. Like it knew I would come back. The overturned chair hadn't moved, still frozen at that sickening angle, one leg pointing at the ceiling like an accusing finger. The lamp lay shattered on the floor, its shade split open like a mouth caught mid-scream. And the stain. Dark, stubborn, shaped like a map to a country no one ever wants to visit. But here's what we missed. Here's the detail that changes everything. I pressed my notebook against my ribs, not to take notes, but to quiet the hammering of my heart. Because good investigators don't trust first impressions, but the best ones. We don't even trust our own memories. The silence wasn't empty. It was heavy, the kind of heavy you feel right before a thunderstorm tears the sky open. I took one step forward. The floorboard groaned beneath my weight, a long, agonizing rasp that sounded less like wood settling and more like an accusation. Like the room itself was asking, "What took you so long?" 3 nights ago, this apartment was a circus. Blue lights, yellow tape, latex gloves snapping. A paramedic in the corner shaking so hard his trauma shears rattled against his belt. We all saw the same thing. We all wrote the same report. Forced entry, violent struggle, felony homicide. Case closed. Except it wasn't closed. Not even close. Because I was about to discover that everything we believed about that night was a lie. I moved toward the window. Outside, the city pulsed with neon life, thousands of people living their normal Tuesday nights, completely unaware of how thin the glass is between ordinary and unthinkable. Then I turned around, and my eyes caught it. The bedroom door, slightly ajar, hovering in that terrifying space between open and shut. In our initial sweep, we documented the shattered front door, the splintered wood, the clear signs of forced entry. But we'd assumed God, how we'd assumed that the violence had cascaded through the entire apartment. I walked toward that bedroom door, my pulse beginning to hammer a warning against my skull. I reached for the latch, and that's when my blood ran cold. The wood wasn't splintered. There were no pry marks, no crushed fibers. The brass lock gleamed with a dull, almost mocking shine. It hadn't been kicked. It hadn't been forced. It hadn't even been rattled. I pushed the door. It swung open with a soft, polite whisper against the carpet. My stomach dropped into free fall. Because if the door wasn't locked, there was no monster under the bed. There was only a guest. The bedroom was terrifyingly perfect, controlled. The bed made with military precision corners tucked so tight you could bounce a quarter off the duvet. This was the room of someone who demanded order, who lived by rules, who trusted systems. On the nightstand sat a framed photo. I picked it up. Alex, laughing, head tilted back, throat exposed in pure, unguarded joy. And next to her, a man. His gaze so intense it seemed to burn through the glossy paper even now. They weren't just close, they were intertwined. Souls knotted together in ways that don't show up on background checks. We had spent 72 hours hunting for enemies, building profiles of strangers, tracking down alibi gaps, running forensics on forced entry points. But we should have been looking for the one person Alex would never think to scream at. The person she trusted more than anyone in the world. I moved to the closet. The door was cracked, just a sliver of darkness. I pulled it open. Rows of colour-coded silk shirts slid against each other with a sound like falling sand. Organised, controlled, perfect. On the top shelf, barely visible, sat a shoebox. Inside were letters, dozens of them. I didn't need to read the words, the dates on the envelopes told me everything. They spanned 4 years. A secret life, lived in the margins, hidden in plain sight. A love story the world was never supposed to know. This is Romance Mystery Stories, dedicated to entertaining you. If stories like this interest you, like, drop a comment, and subscribe to our channel for more. And remember, sometimes the most dangerous doors are the ones we open ourselves.